As we keep an eye on your world this morning, an 18-year-old is charged with plotting a deadly shooting at his high school. The student had planned to kill 5 classmates, all girls, and was considering a 6th student. Investigators found 7 rifles, 2 revolvers, a handgun, and a shotgun, along with more than 1,000 rounds of ammunition.
As 24-year-old Ben says, when he was a teen, he had 0 self-esteem, never got past the first date, and felt powerless with girls. But he says men like Andrew Tate inspired him to break out of his shell.
A woman's primary biological role is to make kids. But for men, our primary biological purpose is to build things. A high-status, high-value man is a man who builds valuable things. That's where his masculine sexual energy comes from.
You're a sexual energy coach.
Yes. I help men with their mindsets, getting in touch with their masculinity.
You don't have a girlfriend.
Whenever I hear about the male loneliness epidemic, I think about something my therapist has said to me so many times. Historically, women have always had to have endless empathy for men at all times, and we were never allowed to express it. And every single time he talks about this, he would tell me about how in the 50s and the 40s, women would snap and flip out on their husbands, and that's when they would get thrown into like an insane asylum. Since we're all collectively deciding to no longer be endlessly empathetic, we can maybe put all the men who complain about the loneliness epidemic in the insane asylums. Like, bring them back just for that purpose. Oh no, it's the consequences of your own actions.
Today I'm going to be focusing on the topic of incels. You know them, you love them, and a whole lot of them are born every day. If you're as terminally online as I am, you've definitely noticed an absolute pestilence of toxic men and women weaponizing forms of media to push an agenda against the opposite sex. These examples range from podcast videos of unhinged women talking about how her husband just ate her out after her ex had just dropped a load in her. And on the other side of the spectrum, men are being told to hold accountability for something that men did thousands of years ago. Either way, both sides are taking a hit for something that that most people have never done and will most likely never do. So why exactly are men and women at war with each other so much? Of course, people are always going to have, their side as to why they're the way that they are. But just to get the most obvious things out of the way, clearly it's something that happened in the past. For men, of course, they got rejected and they've never had a girlfriend, and it's been for some time in their lives. This, of course, can also be true for women. It was most likely, a figure of a man in their past, whether it be their dad or boyfriend, someone cheated on them, anything like that. And, they hold a grudge towards it, which both sides, I completely understand. That shit sucks. That shit hurts. And I know. But the thing is, you can't just go around and generalize because of something that happened to you. I'm sorry, but your trauma does not define an entire sex of people. As someone who has lived a very similar lifestyle to incels, I want to say it's time to break the cycle. And I'm not here to give you the same old answer everyone always gives you, the same blanket statements that just, do nothing for anybody. Like, oh, confidence is key. Oh, go to the gym, go do all that. Like, yes, of course, those are great pieces of advice, but unfortunately, those just don't mean much, when it comes to someone who's just clearly not going to do those things. And if they do them, they'll do it once, maybe twice, and then bam, they're back to their old ways. So how do you get that confidence, okay? What is the path to getting there? If you're thinking to yourself, I have no confidence because I'm ugly and I'm short, so I'll never stand a chance. Women only want 6 feet men. You've got to pick up your vibe. Think about it. Is that really someone who you'd like to have around you? The first step is to accept yourself and be okay with who you are. One of the greatest gifts that you can possibly give yourself is learning to enjoy your own company. If you're okay with just chilling out, being alone, and you don't feel ashamed of that, that's awesome, dude. So many people don't have that ability. For some reason, somebody always needs to have somebody by their side at all times. And that's how you end up with clingy people. So I'm telling you right now, you incels that have never had a girlfriend and you desperately want a girlfriend, I'm going to tell you right now, if you get one, you're going to go into that clingy phase. And then it's not going to end well for you. And then that's just going to make you start to resent women. Okay, so first things first, you got to learn to accept yourself. I know it's a freaking cliche, but love yourself. If you look in a mirror and you hate what you're seeing, this is your sign to go and do something about it. I know, much easier said than done, but this is the best way to develop a relationship with yourself, a communication with yourself. That way, whenever you look at yourself in the mirror, you're okay with what you're seeing, you know, and you start becoming addicted to that progress, and it starts becoming just a fundamental part of your life. And you can even start off small. You don't have to go right to the gym. First things first, okay? You probably got bad posture. So that's something that you should probably correct, okay? You got to fix that neck. You got to fix that back. You got to fix those shoulders. You just got to make sure everything is properly in its position. Because if you're walking around and you're all hunched back because you're always sitting down in a chair, your hips are all fucked up, you should probably go get that checked out, okay? If you don't want to do it professionally, there are plenty of channels on YouTube that you can go check out that will help you do proper exercises that you can literally just do in the comfort of your own room, on your bed. Just fix that posture. Stand up straight. And another thing we're definitely gonna have to fix is your attitude. I've got a harsh truth for pretty much the whole entire world. The thing is, I personally believe 99% of the world is self-conscious about something. Regardless of who they are, what they look like, I assure you there's something that they are self-conscious about. And subconsciously, we look for those things. Every single time we meet someone, we want to look for something to put us on the same spectrum as them, to bring them down to our level. Even the so-called people who refer to themselves as alpha males, they walk into a room with a whole bunch of people and they need to tell themselves that they're the most impressive person in that room. That is self-consciousness. That is a problem. We need to stop trying to be people who we just aren't. And you need all that, you're just gonna make yourself look like some pompous douchebag, okay? And if you're hearing all this thinking to yourself, okay, well, been there, done that, well, maybe it's time to consider psychiatric help. I did that, and it was the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. About 5 years ago, I was working at this restaurant. And while I was working at this restaurant, this new girl shows up. And she was really pretty. I really liked her. After some talking, we hit it off and we started going out. But one thing I started to notice is this girl really liked to drink. This girl was a partier. Her and I went on a hiking trip. And once we got to the top of this hill, she takes off her backpack and she pulls out this tall can of Four Loko. Now the thing is, one thing about me is I hate drinking. Absolutely. I hate the taste. I hate hangovers. I hate being drunk. I hate not being completely in control. I hate it. But I said, fuck it. Guess what? I like to drink now. For like a whole month, every weekend, her and I would go out and we would just drink, and I would get absolutely plastered each time because that was how she had fun. We were never official or anything like that, no matter how much I wanted us to be. But for the most part, her and I had a lot of fun until I'd end up started getting into my clingy phase and things would just get awkward between us. And this was a consistent thing that kept going on. One night, her and I, we went out to a club and I was already getting shit-faced and I was dancing, we were dancing, and I couldn't hold my shit together and I puked on the fucking dance floor. And the fucking bouncer comes over to me and starts pushing me out, you know? I'm standing outside of this club, these two bouncers just pretty much, you know, telling me to get the fuck out of there. I'm so drunk I can't even freaking stand straight or walk straight. And then I start blowing up her phone. After what I want to say is like 10 calls, her phone finally picks up and it's someone who was not with us for that entire night. Someone completely random. And once I heard it was another dude, I didn't even say nothing in the phone. I honestly kind of sobered up at that point. I called an Uber home and he gave me a bag because it looked like I was gonna throw up at any moment. I finally got home and I just remember being so hurt that night, you know? And I had to keep seeing her at work and I would constantly give her this attitude. I wouldn't talk to her. I just became this big asshole. And yeah, she always looked like she felt bad about the whole entire thing, but you know, we just never talked about it. And of course, in the back of my mind, I was always hoping that, you know, she would apologize and her and I could, you know, go back to doing things again. The pandemic rolled around and we had to stop going to work. And ever since then, I haven't seen her ever since. Now, of course, you're probably thinking to yourself, why did I just trauma dump on you guys about a really pathetic moment in my life? Accountability. Always take accountability. Stop pointing your fingers at other people. Her and I were completely incompatible, and I knew that from the start. And because of my low self-esteem, because I didn't accept myself, because I needed the presence of another person in order to feel good about myself, that's why I became so clingy. So yeah, it fucking hurt. But the thing is, she taught me so much. I can't be just doing something that I hate doing just because I want to be with someone. That's a horrible way to live. And it's a recipe for disaster. And if she just wants to go around and drink and just have a good time and mess around with whoever she wants, she has every right to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. It was very clear to both of us that it was just solely for good fun, what we were doing. And I'm sure quite a lot of you have at least a story that's somewhat similar to that. And the thing is, I'm sure you hold on to it and you still hold on to a grudge, but you got to be able to have some accountability. Come on, did you really handle that situation as best as you possibly could? Are you really perfect? We often relate being kind, being understanding as a form of being a naive person. And I've never liked that. Of course, learn from your past, but don't let it turn you into this toxic person, because there's already enough toxicity in the world. End the cycle. Be better than that. All those videos you see on social media, men and women being unfaithful to each other, they're not the majority. Majority of women are actually okay with a man who's 5'8", 5'6". You know, some of them will even be cool if you're 5 feet or shorter. And I'm just gonna say, if you're the type of person that just simply exists and does nothing, you just stay in your room all day, you just play games, you just watch TV, and you don't do anything else, that's okay. All right. If that's what makes you happy, then awesome. Go for it. Do it. But if it's something that's constantly in the back of your mind, then yeah, go out and do something about it. But the harsh truth that you got to understand is you most likely have no business being in a relationship right now. Not until you learn how to be content with yourself. A relationship is meant to add on to the happiness that you already have in your life, not to be your happiness in life. So how do you accept yourself? What is the method that I do it with? Well, it's a little bit weird. I like to imagine just a complete random stranger talking shit to my face who knows every aspect about my life. I'll just be sitting there watching something on Netflix or something, and my ADHD suddenly causes me to zone out, and all I can think of is this asshole just grilling me who just knows everything about me. And I just sit there and take it all until finally I just say, fuck it. Yeah, I peaked in high school. I've lived with a family who speaks Spanish half my life and I can't speak Spanish. I dumped 3,500 hours into Smite, one of the shittiest MOBAs ever. The only friends I got are online, and the ones I know in person, they only know me because of my brother. I'm a fucking loser, and I say it proud in front of the entire internet. You're not alone. There's a shit ton of us. And even if you were alone, you still shouldn't feel ashamed. It is never too late to start your reformed arc. And don't you dare start comparing yourself to other people and their success, because that shit means absolutely nothing. So essentially, yeah, just become schizophrenic. You'll be all right. On a more serious note, I know it can be really frustrating to see all these women online who are constantly talking shit about men. I understand it's frustrating. What you got to understand is behind those words is there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of coping going on. And if that's what they got to do to get over it, that's what they got to do to cheer themselves up, whatever. You're all right. You're going to be just fine. And this goes for any toxic crowd that you see online. Man, just, it's not worth your time. They want your reaction. They want you to say something bad, something that's going to make you look bad, something to further prove them right. In summary, take care of yourself, clean yourself up, Shave your beard, fix that posture, and absolutely do not add to the toxicity that's already in this world. Find something you love doing and learn how to just do your own thing. If you manage to do all that, I assure you, something good's gonna come your way. But I swear to you, there is a way for you to be happy in your own presence. You do not need anyone else to make you happy. And I'll see you guys in the next one.